Yeah, check it out. Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Really good. It's your boy Butch on back with the reaction video. You know, it's a rainy day in New York City. So, shit. Some people got their peoples at the church, coming back from church, you know. But we don't just sit here and react. I'm not trying to be in that rain. Anyway, I've been talking about the big U stuff for a minute. Everybody know that. But the Trap for Ross, you know how he do the little details, he get all, in depth. We're gonna go ahead and react to Trap for Ross. And let me know if y'all want me to react to something else. This might sound crazy, bro. Sound echoey. Anyway, let's get right into it. Trap for Ross, covering the big U situation and everything surrounding Rolling 60s, LA, you know what I mean, and the Rico charges.
Advocates of checking in is Big U, real name Eugene Henley Jr. He's been accused of being the leader of the notorious Rollin' 60s faction of the neighborhood Crips. And if you were planning to come to LA, you might have thought about checking.
See, there we go right there, already false. He's never said he's a leader of the Rolling 60s Crips. He's, yeah, he's being accused of being a leader, but not of the Rolling 60s, dog. See, gotta watch this dude, man. He's being accused of being a leader of the Rolling 60s Crips. Leader of all the 60s. Crazy.
Checking in with him.
Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos. But if you don't check it in, oh well. Check your ass out. We're gonna check you in, all right. We're gonna check in all of your equipment.
Big U has ran the streets of LA.
I mean, you can take that many ways. If he didn't say, like, we gonna take the win, a lot of people like, hey, you going to a new town, that's dangerous. People get laid down out there. Yeah, you might want to get some people that you know from the town. Talk to them and ask them about the town. So, but then he said, we gonna check you, we gonna check your equipment. That was goofy. All right, let's go.
LA for decades, doing double-digit stretches in the penitentiary and developing a feared reputation as one of the city's most connected gangsters. But to the public, Big U presents a different persona, one of a reformed ex-gangster turned community activist. He started developing Options, a community-focused nonprofit organization with a mission to keep kids out of the streets. Part of the GRID program, Developing Options claims that their mission is to decrease gang activity and to empower the community to strive for a safer, thriving environment for our youth. Big U.
Now, did that happen? I'm sure he saved a lot of you. And I'm sure he did some positive things for the community, for sure. Because I hear about a lot of them. We still going to explore this. We can't just totally discount the good he did, the trouble he's in right now. That's the problem with people.
U would solicit donations on behalf of his nonprofit and seemingly put as much back into the community as he had taken, being seen doing food drives and providing equipment and workouts for the local youths to keep them out of trouble, even coaching and commissioning for the Crenshaw Rams youth football team. Clearly, Big U was such a supportive coach in football that his own son was actually drafted into the NFL for his home team, the LA Chargers, a connection that had him and his father rubbing shoulders with music's biggest celebrities like Drake. But according
And also, not only his son made it to the NFL, he put a couple people in the NFL. Let's not discount the good that he did. You feel me? He put some dudes to the NFL. He got kids on the way to the NFL. Like, we can't discount the good. That's all I'm saying. Keep going.
to a recent criminal complaint, beneath the surface, Big U's persona is much darker than he'd want you to think, because he's recently been accused of embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars from developing Options, not just allegedly taking the money, but using the charity as a vehicle to extort famous rappers and athletes and transferring the money to himself. But the financial crimes he's accused of are only the tip of the iceberg, as the criminal complaint would reveal that Big U was heard in private conversations recorded on wiretaps, that he was the only gangster from his generation still having people killed, and that he was willing to murder anyone who disrespected him. And according to that criminal complaint,
damn, that's some goofy shit. That's goofy as hell. That's goofy. But, when you're a gang member, I don't know. I'm a non-affiliate, but I do know a lot of gang members real close in my family. You want the persona of that persona. So he could be saying these things to get that persona. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure nobody gonna believe that, but that's a fact. Dudes say a lot of crazy shit to look a certain way.
These weren't just threats, as Big U is accused of murdering one of his son's childhood friends, a former football prospect turned rapper who he had personally coached, with the indictment alleging that Big U drove to Las Vegas on his daughter's birthday to kill the young man for wasting studio time and recording a Big U diss song. As dark as this sounds, reading between the lines of the criminal complaint suggests that this is just the tip of the iceberg, with other information hinting towards Big U having been connected to a number of high-profile murders in the hip-hop community, including Nipsey Hussle and Quando Rondo's cousin Lil Pab. The insane details about the double life of this notorious LA gangster might be news to some people, but in the Los Angeles podcast community, this has been.
And you see how Trap Lord Ross picked them pictures. Look at Big U. Look at his eyes. He picked the right pictures. You know what I mean? Yeah, he definitely ain't nothing to play with. Look at them eyes.
An open secret for quite some time, with other street figures who have been around Big U jumping on the microphone and speculating on the eventual outcome of this street drama for years now. Podcasts which I too have appeared on myself numerous times, actually meeting several of the people involved in this case over the years, putting me right in the middle of the story.
So I'm here to let you know, as a man, see how it feels to really be in front of the people you talking about and playing with.
No, I hear it. It's tough.
See, no. Like I'm in that situation, Trap Lord Ross. I don't care how many people there, all whack backing. You call me a bitch, I'm jumping up and it's straight attack. But he a white boy from UK, so I understand.
Feel you? I hear.
He does that all the time.
No, he don't. No, he don't.
Oh yeah.
Man, that dude get caught in certain places. He know it. He in certain places. Why you get up and go to Chicago? Hell, boy.
So today, I'm going to risk it all and tell you everything I know about the secret inner workings of LA's.
Everything I know. You don't know shit, white boy. Cut it out. You're bringing together clues and evidence, but don't say you know, because you don't know. That's all.
Street politics.
But I'm sure you're gonna paint this picture, and a lot of people gonna be convinced. And you know, it's helping the prosecutors and all that. Yeah, Big U ain't no angel, but the way he about to make him, he gonna look like Satan himself. But let's go.
Casters that have predicted this crackdown for years, the streets that have known about it for decades, but in 2025, for the first time, the feds have revealed for the whole world to see bombshell allegations against Big U that triggered the downfall of LA's most notorious Rolling 60s Crip.
And that's questionable about the most notorious, because there's some 60s dudes that did some treacherous shit, allegedly in charge of it. The most notorious, yeah, because of the fame, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? It's a rainy day in New York, man. We just reacting, y'all. Let's go.
Fast forward 6 months. Big U gets arrested. This is hypothetically for these acts.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, that interview becomes completely fair game, and it's an important historical record. And like, we all have to look at it and say, "Oh my God, Loose Cannon, I'm so sorry. We all misjudged you. You're a fucking genius. You were telling the truth the whole time."
The white boys involved, I love them all, but they all are master investigators in this shit. It's very dangerous to be an investigator. Make sure you get all the facts correct and things like that when you want to investigate. That's all I'm saying.
FBI says that South LA crime boss Eugene Big U Henley fronted a wide-ranging mafia-like criminal enterprise.
And the Department of Justice also accusing him of murdering an aspiring rapper in 2021. Investigators say Henley is one of 18 members of the Rolling 60s Crips charged in the federal complaint.
He has maintained the image of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture.
Justice for them. When I go to Atlanta,
That right there, we talked about it. It's crazy and it's fucked up. But at the same time, Rolling 60s notorious for killing each other. And they say, "Oh, you ain't a 60 till you kill a 60," dumb shit like that. We could all agree that Big U didn't like Nip when he died, or they had little problems, things like that. But that don't mean he got him killed. That's all I'm saying. But when somebody you don't like passes, sometimes, you know, it depends on the level of the dislike. These dudes be celebrating. They be happy. It's weird, but it's true. But that don't mean they did it.
I check in. When I go places, I check in.
Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. But if you don't check it in, oh well, check your out. We're gonna check you in, all right?
So you just refusing to pay your rent?
I'm just not gonna allow you to videotape me as I pay.
I was bagging.
Whoa. Wait, I ain't never see that. So that was T.I. He said, so you just refuse to pay, T.I. I'm going to pay you. But I just don't like how you. And T.I. said it with a big smile, too. A big smile.
My victims. Closets. Yeah, I was bagging. Dark places. Everything behind me. You know, kidnapping people, prison, and all that stuff. I had a crew we used to kidnap. That's what we did. We had a crew called the Body Snatcher.
Investigators say that he painted himself as an entertainment executive who's been giving back to the community with various charities, but they say Henley is a violent criminal.
Boy, you is a. I'm telling you.
Ah!
You
I'm
got
gonna
it,
move.
Funding a South LA.
Oh, man. So much. It's so much that I want to say, but I ain't going to say it. You feel me? But with the Wack situation, when they fell out, when Big U and Wack fell out, Wack went all hands down to try to incriminate this man and get him out the way type of shit. And that says a lot. That says Wack understands that type of enemy to have in the streets. And he might not have wanted it. We know about the situation where the 60s ran up on Wack and Wack was screaming, no, I'm with my kids. And, and things like that. So we know about these situations. So if you got an enemy like that in the street and you working with the people, I don't know if he is or not, but the best way to get rid of him, you can't kill him, because if you're working with them people, they don't allow that. You can't kill. Get his ass locked up, get him exposed, convince or loose cannon and all that. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna say Wack convinced them, but get people on the bandwagon. 600 loose cannon from the 60s, allegedly. Get them on the bandwagon, you feel me, and run this campaign, and the shit was successful because Big U is facing a whole lot of time. And if something happens to one of these dudes, guess what they're gonna do? Pin it to Big U. So it's crazy. Them niggas are safe out here from that, because really, if something happens to them, Big U don't want nothing to happen to them. That's all I gotta say. We know Big U don't want nothing to happen to them right now.
Based charity developing options. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar.
I ain't it. What you got?
Justice for them. They don't really with us until it's a problem.
I'm a fan of Kev Mack, but that right there, when the way he was laughing, that shit was crazy. Why Kev Mack was laughing so hard, man? I don't know Kev Mack. I know him from the videos. I've been watching him for years. But I feel like you know somebody when you're watching the videos and shit. But man, that laugh. Rest in peace to Nipsey, though, for sure.
Then they call it like Quando Rondo.
Yo, I'm so glad you're my friend, because all your options go to jail, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Before I turn myself in, I don't even know what to say.
Wait, that is DNA test in my brother nails.
Okay, so that's bad work. Big U's alleged body, maybe?
Huh? The only way y'all know that is because you is the police, gang. Well, I'm not talking about.
That was a good point that Brick Baby made. Only way y'all know this is if you're the police. It's a lot of things that Wack been knowing, a lot of things that certain people been knowing, and I'm like, how the fuck they know this shit? And it come true. Popel, nigga. Rest in peace to my cousin Jamal. The Popel. He must be working with the Popel. I don't know how you know this shit, though.
Yeah, he's a dummy. Rewind.
To understand the predicament that Big U faces today, being accused of leading one of LA's most notorious.
I know why you're doing it, Trap Lord Ross, but there's mad pictures of Big U with the football team, with the kids, with doing this and that, all the positive shit he did on the streets. A lot of pictures of that. You're not a prosecutor, Trap Lord. You ain't gotta try to, just tell the story, but you trying to control the narrative with the pictures and the selection. I get it. It's money. But dude, you're rich off of this shit. You really don't got to do that. But let's go.
notorious gangs, we have to go all the way back to the start to understand how these gangs and Big U ended up running the streets of LA. Like many black families during the mid-1900s, Big U's parents were part of the so-called Great Migration, where African
And
Americans
this is why I like Trap when they do this type of stuff. He go back and do the history. I like that though.
Americans moved from the southern states to the northern states to escape the Jim Crow laws and look for a better life. They were originally from Mississippi before making their way north to Chicago. In Chi-Town, Big U's father would allegedly get affiliated with one of the original infamous gang leaders turned revolutionaries, Jeff Fort, co-founder.
Wow, so he was entrenched in the shit. You know, he was raised in this. This is what it is. Like a lot of LA kids.
Of one of the earliest major black street gangs in America, the almighty Black P. Stone Nation, cementing an early gang influence in the Henley family all the way back then. Big U's parents would ultimately get separated during their time in Chicago, and in 1966, his mother would move to Los Angeles shortly before his birth. The family settled in an area known as South Central, this being the area where most of the early black residents of LA would settle down. More specifically, they would stay around 81st and Hoover, and according to Big U, it was here where he would first begin to rep the Crips, the gang which was founded in South Central around 1969, around 3 years after Big U was born. Founded by
Those are kids too, for the most part. And from the history I do, these dudes 15, 13, you know what I mean, 16, shit like that, 17 kids. And they created something that's still living on there. Damn, it's raining out here. Let's go.
Raymond Washington and Craig Craddock. The Crips then spread further west by Tukey Williams, who would found the West Side Crips.
Because in the area where we grew up over there, was already seeing Crippin, was already seeing Hoover in it, and it meant something different.
Big U had a very large family tree who would all move to LA. The majority of them would eventually settle near Slauson and Arlington, to an area that would eventually become associated with the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. But at the time, there would be earlier gangs.
We got here, the homies wasn't here yet. And then Van Ness Park didn't have no structure, nothing. And I think Big Bunchy was from Fruitown Brim. So it was like Fruitown Brim was in Van Ness Park. The 60s was on the verge of being formed, like it was just West Side Crips. And then it was West Side Crips and it was neighborhood Crips. And the neighborhood Crips was like down the line on the other side, like on Van Ness, like more towards where eventually like the hood took over. It was neighborhood Crips and West Side Crips.
This neighborhood is not only famous for being the home of the Rolling 60s, but also for being one of the main locations where the classic movie Boys in the Hood was filmed. Growing up, Big U would first become part of a small local clique from the immediate neighborhood called the AG, or Arlington Gang. Led by Big U's cousin Chili Capone, the group would eventually merge as part of the large Rolling 60s, who became infamous around the city of LA.
We was at every party, we was at every club, we knew where every function we was there. And it was funny because dudes would be like, "Where y'all from?" And we from the AG. They're like, "Man, what's that?" We're like, "Man, it's the AG, man. They know what's that." Then it's like, "Well, where is that at?" Man, it's on Slauson and Arlington. "Oh, well, y'all from the 60s. All right, fuck it, man. What is it, a problem?" And then they would.
So basically, they was claiming the off brand when they said the AG. You know what I mean? So they got put with the 60s. Like, wait, they don't respect no off brand. No disrespect to them, but I'm just saying that's what it is. Because I heard, you know, the AGC, and I know some people from AG, Avalon Gangster, you feel me, Crips. That's another side, whatever else. But he said AG, dude, like, what? Where you live at? Over here. Oh, y'all from the 60s, you feel me? So, y'all know what's up. Let's go.
We'll go from there.
Big U would get into trouble with the law from a young age, and already as a kid during the 70s, he claimed to have run with a car robbing crew, eventually getting sent to juvenile detention and spending a period of time on the run from whatever he'd done in LA and going back to live in Chicago with his father. But some years later, in 1979, one of the longest and bloodiest gang wars in LA history would start between the Rolling 60s and their former allies, the 8-Tray Gangster Crips. Sometime later during the early 80s, Big U's cousin and the leader of their AG clique, Chili Capone, would sadly be killed. Now, the more matured Big U would return to Los Angeles to seek vengeance, with Big U saying that at this time he graduated from fighting to guns, and he believed that a gun could get you anywhere you need to be in life. Standing at 6'2", Big U was an intimidating sight even without a gun, and he would still excel at fighting, which was the main way that the early gangs would settle their differences. One of the infamous places where this settling of scores would take place was at the World on Wheels skate rink, which was far away from the Rolling 60s hood, but where the members would nevertheless go to make their presence known. One particularly big brawl would make the Rolling 60s infamous throughout LA County took place on August 1986 during a Run DMC concert in the Long Beach area.
Run DMC. Shout out Run DMC. Feel me? East Coast created hip hop and then it spread it. But you see the real ones, they all pay homage back in the day. But yeah, I heard about this story though. This was crazy. Let's go.
To Big U attend purely to start a fight and establish their dominance. The fight would injure dozens of people and cause the LA Palladium to cancel Run DMC's next concert in fear of escalating gang tensions. During the 80s, the county jail would also become a familiar place for Big U as he was racking up some pretty serious charges, which according to the criminal complaint even included multiple first-degree murder charges and attempted murder of a peace officer, but it seemed that these charges back in these days would never stick. But his time in jail would also help him further spread his reputation as a fearless fighter and a charismatic leader. According to the FBI, it was during
back in them days, man, them youngins was getting away with some shit. And that's what formed these, why they had to build all the prisons and do all this and do all that. Yeah, that gang shit was really, really intense, and it changed a lot of shit. That's something that they didn't calculate in the budget. That gang dynamic, the gang shit, they don't give a fuck about nothing but the gang, some real gang members. Let's go.
During the 80s, when Big U would rise to a prominent position in the Rolling 60s, earning a reputation of a violent enforcer who was willing to kill. One article about Big U stated that he became the lead man for the Rolling 60s and got shot 7 times in the process. And during this time in the late 80s, this was when the crack epidemic was beginning to reach its peak.
Today, there's a new epidemic. Smokable cocaine, otherwise known as crack. It is an...
But how is that not promotion? That's promotion. That's some crazy shit. I ain't gonna hold you. That's an ill promotion, and in the streets they're like, oh, what's up with the crack? Let me see what's up with that. You feel me? Because now we know what's real and what's fake. We educated more. We got access to the everything we need to know real quick. Back in the day, you ain't have that type of education. So you smoking weed all day or whatever else. You're like, oh, crack, what's that about? You know what I mean? You're not putting it together that this is organic. Weed is organic. The crack is something they put together. But later we found that out, but that shit hit the streets heavy, hard, and it affected everything. Gang culture, everything. The bodies went up when that crack hit the street.
An explosively destructive and often lethal substance which is crushing its users. It is an uncontrolled fire.
Big U and the Rolling 60s would also partake in the lucrative drug trade. They would even begin to move dope from LA to other cities such as Minneapolis, Atlanta, and Chicago, where Big U would use his leadership skills to set up shops and take...
Okay, and that's thousands of other gangsters once that crack hit. Big U ain't unique for that. That's thousands of other gangsters. They did the same thing. You feel me? So let's keep that in perspective. That was just what it was. It wasn't like nothing special. Everybody did that shit. You feel me?
Take over street corners and influencing other out-of-state sets that banged under the banner of the Rolling 60 Crips too. This would also be a time when Big U would get his first experiences in the rap industry, as a rapper called Popper LQ would ask Big U to manage him, thinking that while Big U had no experience in the industry, he did have the qualities to be a manager and the respect of the streets. Big U's friend would also ask him to help managing a young, promising Rolling 60s rapper called Corrupt, who's now known for such West Coast classics as Seawalk and We Can Freak It, as well as being one half of the duo The Dog.
I found out that Big U got a lot of credit for the situation, but really it was Warren G. You feel me? Warren G is the reason why Corrupt got on. It was Warren G. So I just want to, I believe Warren G. Warren G ain't never come across as a liar. Warren G always kept it 1,000, and I know people close to him. You feel me? So yeah, Big U got a lot of credit for it, but Warren G is responsible for finding Corrupt. Warren G the one that approached Corrupt and gave him the number and said, yo, holla at this and that and come over here. And then Warren G called Corrupt, said, come to the studio, fuck with us. Corrupt pulled up. You know what I mean? So let's go.
Pound with Daz Dillinger, the group founded by Snoop Dogg. Big U had also become a family man at this point, and according to himself, he was beginning to be one foot in and one foot out of the hustle game, but unfortunately for him, he would become wanted by the police. And in December 1991, he was arrested as part of a sting operation after attempting to rob 33 pounds of cocaine from an undercover agent, with Big U pulling a gun and attempting to rob the fake plug, leading to the cops that were watching nearby to rush in and bust him. For this, he was given a monster sentence of 23 years.
He came out with that mentality, like from back in the day, where you got a thing, you could get away with whatever, you could just do whatever as long as you got that gun. You feel me? Now it ain't like that. You gotta be super duper extra slick. But he came out with that same old mentality. It seemed like, yeah. We'll see how it goes. But
news reports as a leader, if not the top man of the Rollin' 60s. This meant that during much of the golden years of hip-hop, Big U was behind bars, but he would spend his time inside continuing to develop his skills as a fighter and a leader. One story even circulated that he had apparently knocked somebody's eyeball out of their socket during a prison fight. Photos of Big U behind...
That sounds crazy. I don't know how you knock an eyeball out of socket. How you do that?
Bars would circulate online as the years went by. During a Breakfast Club interview, Big U would even say that he was running the drug trade in the prison yard during this time.
Because I basically took over the whole little drug trade.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand that. He just said basically, too. That's a big key word, basically. But in all prisons, I ain't going to give up too much to y'all motherfuckers. I ain't going to give up too much. But yeah, man, come on, man. The boy, that's normal. That ain't nothing special. He got to connect to people that, he's from a place that happens all the time with all kind of different gangs in all the prisons.
On the yard, because I had money. So I came in and I bought all the guards who was bringing in.
But when he wasn't squabbling or selling drugs, apparently he was knuckling.
And I ain't just a trap lord Ross. I'm a dude that was incarcerated in Cali prison system, jail system, all that. So I'm telling you.
Down and trying to
in tune perspective, you're
also find positive influences behind the wall. During his long stint inside, he would meet people who would inspire him to evolve intellectually, such as Michael Harry O. Harris, a powerful LA figure who allegedly played a key role in helping Suge Knight found Death Row Records, and also played a part in the career of Denzel Washington. As a result, Big U would begin to read and write, as well as studying subjects like theology, as he would later recount in interviews. Meanwhile, on the outside, Corrupt would keep Big U's name alive in his music, shouting him out in songs like one of his biggest hits, We Can Freak It. Big U would also keep losing people close to him to the streets while he was inside, like his brother Dwayne Dupree, who worked as a bodyguard for the Dog Pound duo of Corrupt and Daz Dillinger, and was sadly killed as gunmen opened fire outside of a recording studio. But Big U would eventually end up only doing 13 years in prison, getting out in 2004.
Hold up. That was like, oh, girl that killed Latasha. Rest in peace. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But when he took this picture, you could tell it was about the community relations with the Koreans in LA and through all the bullshit. That picture right there probably helped a lot in the streets. That picture right there, it shows what it is. Like, they're going to paint Big U as this devil, but ain't nobody the devil. Everybody got good and bad to them. So we just going to see what's going on, because I'm used to the trumped up charges and all the bullshit. And then when it comes down to it, you realize, oh, this motherfucker, all that shit, a lot of that shit wasn't true. You feel me? And this picture is an example of that. This picture, it shows community ties and what it is.
At 37 years old, conveniently, right as the Rollin' 60s had become, quote, the largest black criminal street gang in the city of Los Angeles. However, Big U wouldn't lose sight of those positive influences that he had gleaned behind bars, and he decided to reinvent himself as a community advocate, starting his non-profit called Developing Options. Their website would claim that Big U started the organization because he wanted to provide the youth of his neighborhood the support that he didn't get when he was growing up. In 2025, the program claimed to have served over 6,000 people while having partnerships with hundreds of agencies. The website even boasts a 90% reduction in community gang violence, and the program has some major supporters, such as perhaps the most famous Crip in the world, Snoop Dogg. But Big U would also keep building his career in the music industry. After getting released, Corrupt would introduce him to the head of Death Row Records, Suge Knight, who would help Big U financially to get back on his feet and take him under his wing as a mentor. The two became, without a doubt, the most respected, or at least the most feared duo that the hip-hop industry had ever seen. But
I remember when Big U said, if I was out in the rise of Death Row, that shit wouldn't have happened. What do you mean by that? Was he a little like jealous of Death Row or something, and he was in jail watching Suge Knight, who's not really a real super member like that, but he is a member, but you know what I mean? And he's watching Suge do his thing, go crazy, make millions or hundreds of millions, he in there. Then when he get out, he said, if I was out, Suge, the Death Row wouldn't have happened. That's kind of crazy to think about. And then was he trying to form a Death Row on the Keyway side, on the blue side, something like that, or whatever else? Because he figured, I'm a real, and Suge is not. Let me do this. That's crazy as hell when I think about it. He did say that though. He said if he was out, Death Row wouldn't be.
Big U's ferocious attitude to the music industry would mirror Suge's approach. Unfortunately, this meant that for the artists that entered Big U's orbit, some would have runaway success, but others would seemingly suffer sudden and tragic downfalls. Which of course brings us to the tragic story of Nipsey Hussle.
Nip Hussle.
After getting out of prison, notorious Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crip, Big U would learn how to play hardball in the music industry from none other than Suge Knight. The infamous Blood who had ruled the West Coast rap game with an iron fist was rumored to have used murder and extortion tactic to get ahead in the music biz.
Notice how spooked Big U was coming out after all that time. He had the long sleeve red shirt on. Maybe that wasn't the day he got out, though. I don't know. But you know, that's something they do. Not spook, but they throw it. It's like, I ain't wearing no blue shit right now. Let me. They already know who I am. Shit, let me not help them.
From his violent altercations in the lead up to the death of NWA's Eazy-E to the rumored incident where Vanilla Ice was allegedly dangled off a balcony and forced to sign over his lucrative royalties, eventually though, the law and his enemies would catch up with Suge Knight's hardline tactics and crack down on his operation. But by the time Suge Knight's downfall had begun, Big U was already in the game, decided to spread his wings and do his own thing. Apparently whilst inside prison, Big U, along with his right-hand man, Mark Martin, aka Bear Claw, founded an independent record label, Unique Music, in 1996. Big U would use the label to scout potential up-and-coming musical talent, and his deep street connections would lead him to the paths of some of LA's most legendary rappers. It turned out that Big U's nephew actually knew a young, talented Rollin' 60s rapper who went by the name Nipsey Hussle. Big U would begin to help Nipsey using his many...
See how big the gang is? Big U didn't know nothing about that kid until, you know, his nephew introduced him to him. That's how big Rollin' 60s is. Back in the day, you know every member from the gang, but now, shit.
Industry contacts, ultimately landing him a major spotlight with a verse on Tupac's 2006 posthumous album, Pac's Life. Nip featured with Young Dre and Tupac himself on the song International.
And that's the difference between the gangs and the mafia. You know what I mean? And that's why the gangs find themselves in more trouble and they more exposed because they just accept all kind of members type of shit. And a lot of dudes just pick up the rag, whatever, and just say they that too. But when you moving like that, you're gonna get a lot of trouble, a lot of heat. When you moving like the mafia, you gotta get indoctrinated, all this type of shit, burn a fucking card, put it in the hand, prick the finger, all that weird shit. But that is the way to really make sure every member know every member, and that's very important.
Which gave Nipsey's career a massive boost.
Him and Big Draws put that together, and LT Hutton didn't really had a resume at that time to justify it, but he gave me a shot. And a lot of that was based on the relationship he had with Draws and Steve.
And I remember buying the physical CD, seeing Tupac featuring Nipsey Hussle on the back of it. That was huge for me.
Big U later reposted a clip from a Diverse Mentality documentary on Nipsey, along with a caption saying that it was an honor to give him the shot. Big U was playing a major role in Nipsey's come-up, leading Nipsey to drop his first real single and music video titled Bullets Ain't Got No Names in 2006. Nipsey would get support from Big U through the creation of an entire Bullets Ain't Got No Name full-length mixtape series. But story has it that Nipsey wanted to leave a bad
Bullets Ain't Got No Name.
Big U's unique label.
So I signed him it was signed to a 10-year production contract, which started in 2009, which would end 2019.
Crazy. Big U, on the other hand, has explained in the Drink Champs podcast that he stopped managing Nipsey after a promotional tour when police discovered drugs in one of their vehicles. And although someone would take the charges, Nipsey and others began acting differently towards Big U, which he interpreted as a breakdown in trust.
Radiator cap off, took the apart, stuck us in, I can't remember where we were for 3 days. They took the and scanned it from the router to the tutor, found what they wanted on it, put it back together, gave it to us. I flew back home. When I fly home, we get hit. I get hit at home. They had 21 people. They think they got him. Anyway, make a long story short, he ended up turning himself in, take the case off all of us. He get life, right, for the drugs. When that happened, my team is acting weird. So I'm looking at Steve, I'm looking at Nip, man, get a paperwork from Sony so they can see that we leasing all this. They acting weird. So, me,
damn. Real member took life for the drug. Sheesh. Yeah, I mean, Nip, if I was Nip, I would be acting weird too. I don't want none of that shit around me right now. I'm making I'm going to another level with this. And that's when that song came out that Nip dropped saying, you ain't ready to go with me. I don't know what he said, but I'm just paraphrasing. You ain't ready to go with me. I got to leave. I got to go. I got to get bigger.
Kind of like, hey, I'm hot, hot and heavy, but I'm like, I can't with y'all. So you never see me on the tour no more.
That's when the problem.
No problem never happened. We didn't have a problem.
Okay.
Well, nobody making no money.
Right.
But particularly after Big U's arrest, many have theorized that it may have been Big U who was using Nipsey's tours as a cover to smuggle drugs to different cities, and this was possibly making Nipsey nervous and looking for ways out.
I think Big U was using the tour bus, Nipsey's tour bus, to at least sometime or possibly do drug drop-offs, pick up money, and it was making Nipsey hot. He was seeing himself about to take off. He wanted no parts.
Whatever the case, after the two stopped working together, Big U wanted back some of his studio equipment.
I make a
His
lot.
son could also use them to record music, something which apparently angered Nipsey.
That's when they got upset, and he made the song. I don't rap.
That song never came out.
It did come out.
It did come out?
It did come out. It wasn't never pushed as a song, but it came out. And I mean, I don't rap, I scrap.
Disagreements would lead to Nipsey making a diss song about Big U, a song titled You Don't Got a Clue from his 2010 mixtape The Marathon, where Nipsey got some things off his chest, rapping how somebody, likely Big U, doesn't have a clue about what they want to do for Nip's career, saying that he's not going to stop.
You know, I was saying with the smoke that's fire. This shit is kind of adding up, though. It's kind of making sense based off the people's actions and things like that. It's kind of making sense. I would definitely be like, yo, you don't understand what's going on, Big U. You're not about to be no soprano mob boss. Get the fuck out of here unless you want some positive shit helping my movement. That's about to make some real legal money. So, but nigga don't understand that. You got to separate from that because he's a powerful nigga. So, but niggas ain't scared of nobody. Real niggas ain't. It don't matter. It's like, this my thing. This what it is. I'm going to die about that, period.
Stop for them, and that he doesn't want somebody controlling him, rapping how he came up tough, so he was never looking at Big U for a solution to his problems, and suggesting that his former team never really helped him push his career forward. Nip would rap F the middleman, and he would end his verse saying don't expect any favors from him, because he wasn't given any favors. According to Loose Cannon, who's probably not the most reliable narrator, Big U would confront Nipsey about the track, and challenge him to a fight, where Nipsey would then supposedly move and dance around Big U so fast that he would leave him exhausted, almost like a scene from an old school action comedy.
And he was like, hey, cuz, is this song about me? So Nipsey stood up or whatever and was like, yeah, cuz it's about you. So he was drinking some water out of a water bottle and he threw it on Nipsey, right? He was like, we're gonna have to go get down or whatever. So he thought Nipsey was gonna back down. Nipsey stood up and was like, okay, cuz, let's go get down. They were just dancing around or whatever like that. He was trying to get Nipsey or whatever, but Nipsey was just moving, dancing and stuff like that. And he couldn't hit Nipsey, so he got tired. So he knew he didn't get Nipsey the way he wanted to get Nipsey, right?
An unsatisfied Big U then allegedly got the whole gang involved, calling Nipsey up to get disciplined, and allegedly beating him up before Black Sam fired into the air, stopping the fight, leading to police being called and breaking things up. Wack 100 would later...
I guess. Fire in the air, I don't know about all that type of activity, but I guess, like, I don't know. If they were scrapping, Black Sam, go jump in and beat the hell out of and then it would have turned into some other shit. I don't know who was there, but firing in the air, I guess.
Claimed that Big U actually knocked Nipsey Hussle out during their fight.
First time they first fall out, when he first got Nipsey signed, Nipsey come back, fall out. They went down, there was a fight, rumble happened. I believe Big U knocked Nipsey out. Black Sam comes out, fires 3-4 shots in the air. He's fresh out the penitentiary. Police sitting right across the street, they see it. They come in, they arrest everybody. Black Sam's on parole.
Now, there's some conflicting reasons circulating for this exact fight. It's been rumored that Nipsey Hussle has a daughter by a mother that was allegedly Big U's niece, or at least a close family friend. There was allegedly an incident circulating in a Reddit post where it was claimed that Nipsey actually beat up another man who had been dating his baby's mother after they split up, with Nip administering this beatdown because the man was apparently creating an unsafe environment for their daughter, with it being believed that the woman might have even got harmed herself in the scuffle, leading Big U to be furious at Nipsey. Ultimately, though, Nipsey and Big U would eventually squash their beef and didn't have any more public animosity.
So is this about that or what? That's some shit business Big U shouldn't be involved in. That's between Nip and his baby mama. The dude goes a one-on-one, and that's what it is then. Unless Nipsey jumped him or whatever and had the 60s intimidation tactic on him. Other than that, Big U needs to just mind his goddamn business on that situation. So I don't know if that's the case. Because Big U never said that.
In the years that followed, but Nipsey's brother Black Sam seemingly always had an issue with Big U. Apparently, this was reciprocated.
Then I'm gonna keep it 100. Me and his brother wasn't cool. Me and his brother weren't the best of friends. You gotta understand, like I'm gonna have friends that my mama ain't gonna like. I'm gonna have friends that my brother's not gonna like. You're gonna have people that your people don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Nipsey's Rollin' 60s gang ties would be the ultimate liability throughout his career to the very end. A planned private performance in 2010 saw a massive bust on the Rollin' 60s members that he was affiliating with.
People under arrest after police raid a nightclub where dozens of members of an LA street gang were partying.
Police received information that gang members of the Rolling 60s, a violent South LA gang, would be holding a private party here at the Platinum Club here in Studio City. So they decided it would be a good time to do a gang sweep. Now take a look. It all went down around 2 in the morning. The Platinum Club was surrounded by dozens of officers. They arrested about 40 people they say are gang members of the gang Rolling 60s. Officers say they learned of the so-called hood party several days before the big event. Now, outside of the club, the marquee had a sign there that said who was headlining the party. They are Nipsey Hussle and Deal Makers International. You can also see the number 6x10. Now, police say that was the secret Rolling 60s gang sign. An officer from North Hollywood was the first to approach.
Nothing secret about that. 6x10. Everybody out there know what's up. There's nothing secret about it. Even the police, everybody know what's up. Like, stop it.
The front door of the club, and he says that he was rushed by a group of people inside the club. He called for help, and officers from all areas responded immediately. Now, officers say this gang sweep will clearly cripple the illegal activities of the Rolling 60s gang, at least for a while.
As time went on, Nipsey would do more things that reportedly angered Big U, like bringing Treetop Pie.
That was a bold ass move, having a party like that and then putting it up like that. Now the police got everybody that they need in one place. They run up. That was a stupid move too. I don't know who was behind that, but it's pretty dumb.
Iru rapper YG to the Rollin' 60s hood for the music video for the song Stitches Ain't Bit in 2011. Apparently Nipsey had to fight multiple Rollin' 60s after this perceived violation, but this didn't stop his role, and later Nipsey would even return the favor, attending YG's hood to film the music video for I'm a Thug that featured Meek Mill. This was a video that ironically had footage of fellow Rollin' 60 Brick Baby getting arrested. But anyway, as Nip's career grew, it seemed that Big U's stance towards Nipsey had softened, and he was showing him respect publicly, with Big U being seen doing a speech in Nipsey's honor in 2018 during an event for his Developing Options non-profit, where rap heavyweights like T.I. and Wiz Khalifa were also in attendance.
Look who came through. Yeah, you know, I got my all black on, man. You know, all black everything. Steve Maniac Lobel, K1 right here, you know. Big U, what up, baby? Big U and Lobel. So, yeah, that's legendary. Woo!
Remember that. He did what no other rappers do today. He sold his own music. So when I came along and Steve came along, we had a formula that merged what he do, but he outworked.
Take account that Big U showing total respect to him. He giving it up to him. He said he stole his own music. He not taking credit for nothing. He just basically paying homage to Nipsey in this moment. You know what I mean? So I don't know what transpired that made things change. But let's peep right now that Big U is humbly showing respect to Nipsey Hussle and his achievements in this moment right here.
Work any artist I've seen. I'm talking about business-wise. I'm not talking about on the mic. Because if you notice, this man is a more professional than 90% of the dudes who are trying to grow to his level. But I'm saying that to our young baby. To a T. He outworked a whole lot of people. And this is the reason why we are giving him the award, the Businessman Award, because he really exudes everything that you need to exercise in business. So let's give this man a hand. Clap it up for him. I'm talking about, I came to his house, and he lived in all places in A-Train neighborhood, and was really, he really had a mic in his.
Big U, you really have to mention that gang banging shit? A-Trade neighborhood, all that. But yeah, he a gang member. I don't know. I'm speaking from the outside.
Closet and was recording his own self. Remember that.
And at one point, Big U would even crip walk on stage, and Nipsey would in return honor Big U in his speech, saying how everybody in the hood saw him as a leader.
And see what that turned into, and putting pressure on us to just stay focused, you know, standing in front of us as young dudes from the area. And always, I remember he like, you know, it's not gonna be one room I walk into that my homeboys can't walk into with me. And I always respected and looked up to him as a leader and as somebody that was just a real man. And I love to see everybody out here tonight dressed up, looking good. You know, I think we gotta give him a round of applause as well. And like I said, I love you, bro. We're gonna keep pushing. Day one. Thank y'all.
Nipsey was having massive success, culminating in the release of his critically acclaimed 2018 debut studio album, Victory Lap, where he would even shout out Big U, aka Big Draws.
And I'm eating breakfast.
My shirt drunk, yeah, all that. I've been working. You know what I'm saying? Everything, man. Victory Lap coming soon.
He wasn't gonna save anyway.
I wasn't, but I was gonna change my shirt though. I'm going to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm working.
We will let y'all hear some music, but you gotta wait to pay for it. Ain't no free no more.
Coming.
And you ain't downloading it, we're gonna put a tag. If you steal the music, we coming to your house and putting that car wash.
I hate when niggas be so arrogant that they chewing and take a bite and still talking. Stop eating and talking. I hate that shit.
When you got your tent set up, we gonna beat you.
But in March 2019, Nipsey allegedly angered Big U once again by bringing DJ Khaled to the 60s hood and not asking permission. They were there to shoot a music video for Khaled's song Higher that featured Nipsey and John Legend. Allegedly, Big U sent Rollin 60s members to the shoot to cause trouble, causing Nipsey and Khaled to have to finish the shoot in a parking lot. TMZ, on the other hand, claimed from their sources at the video shoot that Nipsey had seemingly received threats on his life before the shoot had even taken place, and that he was apparently prepared with an exceptionally large security team. They would also claim that it was actually during the filming at the parking structure in Inglewood where Nipsey's team were concerned about somebody from the local Bloods coming to kill him. Some people online would also claim that Big U was actually cool with Nipsey at this time, but it was really a bunch of younger Rolling 60s members that just wanted to rob DJ Khaled, causing trouble, with there also being reports of some friction between some Rolling 60s and Inglewood Blood members that might have caused some tension at the shoot. Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, would later seemingly confirm that someone had indeed pressed them at the video shoot, but wouldn't specify exactly who it was.
Not to get into too much detail, but there was a lot of politics getting into certain people. You know, Hustle had DJ Khaled in the hood. Not to be speaking too much on it, but we came frontline like we always do. And, you know, we're going to know we're going to crash out behind it. We're not playing. Ain't nobody saying nothing to Khaled. Ain't nobody doing nothing to Khaled. And he's straight. And Hustle frontline that. And, you know, we felt like certain people didn't like that.
But whatever the case, only a few days later, Nipsey would tragically be gunned down in front of his Marathon clothing store in the Rollin 60s hood, less than a mile away from Big U's childhood stomping grounds on Arlington Avenue. Nipsey was gunned down by a man named Eric Holder, known in the streets because a fellow member of the Rollin 60s who was allegedly mad at Nipsey for accusing him of being a snitch. Eric Holder is also an old close friend of one of the other names mentioned in the new RICO case, the rapper and No Jumper host Brick Baby, real name Zaire Mitchell, another 60 that uses the T moniker as a street name.
That day he got put on, we came up with the name. That was like a name that was really made for him, but he can't come in and be big. So being my big homie, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's big, and I'm little, are you gonna be baby?
But anyway, following Nipsey's murder, different conspiracy theories would begin to spread about his death, suggesting that it might have been more than just a random argument with a low-level Rollin 60s member. One of these theories being that Big U had somehow been involved in the murder himself, particularly as he would seemingly tell different versions about where he had been the day of the murder, as well as having a motive due to the rumors that Nipsey had allegedly refused to sign a contract to be on Big U's label.
And for those who
Believe
don't
this
know,
shit,
Big
though.
U
I can't
is said to be
trust it.
responsible for the death of Nipsey Hussle. This is what a lot of people are saying. And it's because he keeps changing his story about the day that Nipsey Hussle died.
We actually was on 6th Ave with 100 cars. We got all the streets blocked. We waiting on UK to come out the house. Everybody phone blowing up. Nip got hit. Nip got hit. We flying up there. We fly up there and we see the scene.
And then like later on, he would forget he said that. And then he'd go on live on IG and say that he wasn't even in town the day that Nipsey died.
Y'all was accusing me. I ain't even do. It was funny. I wasn't even in town. So figure that one out. But I ain't gonna trust it.
And Nipsey Hussle was signed to Big U, to Big U's record label, and that contract was due to be up, and Nipsey Hussle wasn't going to re-sign. So that provided motive,
By
okay?
signing to it, it was signed to a 10-year production contract, which started in 2009, which would end 2019.
Crazy. Big U reportedly also didn't attend Nipsey's funeral, and an IG Live sometime after the murder would appear to show Big U laughing when somebody commented justice for Nip, and going on to say that people are waiting for him to do an interview.
Yeah, this is weird as hell.
Justice for Dip.
Your boy would have been there like, yeah,
You did. You did.
However, the day after Nipsey was killed, Big U would post what seemed to be a heartfelt tribute to Nipsey, with a caption that said how hurt he was at the news, whilst also interestingly pointing out that the last time he spoke to Nipsey was 3 days ago at the DJ Khaled video shoot, something that no one really publicly knew at that time, with Big U saying in the caption that when they were at the video shoot together, they had spoken about building a school, which some have taken as Big U actually trolling, given the fact that it was rumored that a much more tense conversation had taken place at that shoot. Even back then, people were getting straight in the comments on Big U's post, saying that he was the one who set Nipsey up to get killed. And as time went on, Big U would post more tributes to Nipsey to his Instagram page, with yet more comments continuing to reference a possible setup and the DJ Khaled music video. Less than a week after Nipsey's murder, Big U took to Instagram to announce a peace march in the hood in Nipsey's memory.
Greetings to everybody. To get this message today, we are having a vigil for Nipsey Hussle at 3 to 5 today for all the different gangs in LA that want to come out and support. Over the last 2 days, we have been having meetings amongst us, A-Trays, Rolling 60s, Hoovers, East Coasters, Bounty Hunters, and everybody like mine to come together. We're going to ask that everybody come to Crenshaw and Slauson, be there by 3. We want everybody to park in the Rouse parking lot. We're going to be escorting everybody from the Rouse parking lot to the memorial. It's not open to the public. It's only for LA street gangs, Bloods, Crips with the like mind and want to support and pay homage to one of our lost soldiers, one of our good brothers and teachers and leaders. So it's open.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. You feel me? Ain't nothing wrong with that.
3 to 5.
And this indeed went ahead. Over a year after Nipsey was killed, Big U proudly showed off that he had met and recorded a podcast with DJ Khaled and Fat Joe, posting a video where he seemed to be very happy to be with DJ Khaled, specifically with Khaled returning the love and shouting out Big U.
That's right, love, Big U.
There you go. Legend.
And clips were posted by Big U's label, Unique Music, with captions saying that they miss Nipsey. After Nipsey's death, there was a post on Unique Music's Instagram page claiming that Big U was the person who had introduced Nipsey to the world, but people in the comments would continue to claim that Big U was responsible for what happened, once again suggesting that Nipsey was set up by Big U for trying to leave him behind. After Nipsey's death, Big U posted Nipsey along with references to his Unique label numerous times, including one ominous post where he put up a video of Nipsey saying that he can't follow other people, they should be following him.
Blind can't lead the blind, bro.
Yes,
Somebody
sir.
gotta have a vision.
Yes, sir.
You gotta follow who got the vision. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
if you
sir.
stuck on stupid, I ain't gonna judge you or have no disrespect for you, but I'm
But I'm gonna
definitely
be
not-
over here.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna follow you or take heed to your opinion. You're gonna have to follow what I'm doing.
I heard
And
that.
after a while, that way of thinking versus this way of thinking, more people lean toward this way because of the results.
And in the 2025 indictment, it was claimed that in a monitored conversation, Big U even suggested that he was the biggest Rolling 60 member ever, specifically saying that he was bigger than Nipsey Hussle. But despite the passing years, the rumors of Big U's involvement never went away, and people online would continue to speculate endlessly about potential conspiracy surrounding.
Yeah, see, that's where he lose me at, talking about people's speculation, all the dumb shit. You feel me? We got to get the facts and let's talk about that. That's all. No. No, thank you. I'm coming. Yeah, we're gonna end it like that. I'm gonna bounce back with another reaction in 2 seconds.